One, greetings from the high 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans, and thanks for joining me. This commentary is pertaining to testimony given in the federal trial of Robert Kelly. The U.S. has brought forth allegations against Mr. Kelly, and I will bring you the said information. This is pertaining to testimony that went on earlier in the week. I'm a little bit behind. Sorry about that, but I'm going to recap yesterday and today's testimony. Thanks for joining me. R. Kelly accuser says she saw a nearby gun while forced to have oral sex. A woman who accuses R. Kelly of sexually abusing her told jurors at his record-turning trial on Wednesday that she was unnerved when she saw a gun near where the R&B singer forced her to perform oral sex on him. In her second day of testimony, the woman, who identified herself as Faith, said the Los Angeles encounter took place in January 2018, near the end of an 11-month relationship during which Kelly flew her several times to concerts or recording studios and trained her to please him sexually. Faith, who said she was 19 when she met the then 50-year-old Kelly at a San Antonio concert in March 2017, testified that the gun left her intimidated and fearful of what would happen if she tried to leave. "I wasn't even going to step out of line," she told the jury of 7 men and 5 women in the Brooklyn court. On cross-examination, Kelly's lawyer, Deborah O'Canick, tried to poke holes in Faith's testimony, trying to show jurors it was her choice to keep seeing the singer despite her claim she did not always welcome his sexual advances. "You're participated on your own will," Canick said to Faith. Kelly, whose full name is Robert Sylvester Kelly, has been on trial since August 18th for running what prosecutors call a decades-long scheme targeting women and girls for sex with the help of employees and assistants in his entourage. Known for the 1996 Grammy-winning song, "I Believe I Can Fly," the 54-year-old Kelly has pleaded not guilty to 1 racketeering count and 8 counts of violating an interstate sex trafficking law. Faith said her relationship with Kelly ended in February 2018 at a hotel in Manhattan, where she resisted his desire for sex and made it physically difficult for him to attempt intercourse. "I know I had pissed him off," Faith said. Soon after returning home to Texas, Faith said she tested positive for type 1 herpes. She blamed Kelly and said he would not discuss it on a later phone call after she had hired legal counsel. "I knew it was him," Faith said. Canick challenged some of Faith's recollections, asking how she could remember so many details of her final interactions with Kelly in 2018 when you don't remember what time you met with prosecutors on Sunday. Faith also said she did not like being labeled a victim of Kelly, mirroring her comments from an earlier podcast. "You're not a victim?" Canick asked. "Correct," Faith responded. Kelly's indictment describes the alleged mistreatment of 6 women and girls, including the late singer Aaliyah. A male accuser has also said Kelly sexually abused him. Several accusers, including Faith and former employees, have testified that Kelly demanded strict obedience in his rules, even as he preyed on women and girls, including aspiring singers who hoped he could advance their own music careers. Other testimony for the prosecution came from Faith's mother and from the minister who oversaw Kelly's 1994 wedding to Aaliyah when Kelly was 27 and Aaliyah was 15. The marriage was annulled after 6 months. Coronavirus protocols have required the press and public to watch the trial in overflow courtrooms with video feeds. Before Wednesday's testimony, Assistant U.S. Attorney Nadia Shahada said negative comments had been made on Tuesday in an overflow courtroom with one person calling a witness a stupid bitch. Kelly's lawyers declined to comment when asked if it wanted to respond. Many sexual abuse accusations against Kelly were discussed in the 2019 Lifetime documentary Surviving R. Kelly. Kelly also faces sex-related charges in Illinois and Minnesota. Reporting is Tyler Clifford of New York, editing by Howard Goler. This information is by Reuters.com. I had got information via video earlier pertaining to this incident with Chi and Kelly in a room where I don't know if it was an issue of he couldn't perform or it's because she didn't want to go forward with the act itself. And it was said that R. Kelly, when she was testifying to these accounts in court, this was the first time they actually saw emotion coming from Robert. So why was that, Robert? You didn't like the fact that she was saying that she wasn't interested in you? Or is it because you couldn't get it up? Or it didn't go up because she didn't want to have sex with you? And you're offended because people are hearing that somebody didn't want to have sex with you. Which is it? You couldn't perform, or you couldn't perform and she wasn't interested? And this is when you finally showed emotion. Don't you all find this baffling? that this is the one time. Robert is shaking his head. They said he's putting his head in his hands, putting his hands up on his forehead, whichsoever, nodding his head, no, I guess, that ain't right, or that didn't happen. It probably did happen. And the fact that you're finally showing emotion to something someone is saying against you shows us 9 times out of 10 it is true. And you don't want the court hearing it. But what's baffling to me is, with all the other garbage that was mentioned in the court, vile information of fecal matter to the face and in a woman's mouth, you decide on this occasion to get a sense of, I don't want anyone saying anything bad about me. You married a child. No nod on that. No shame on that. No discord on that. Talking rude to your employees, talking rude to the women, ordering them around, different sexual acts, acts with men, women, boys. No emotion. Only when someone is saying they rebuffed your sexual appetite and you gravitating toward them to have sex, this is when you show emotion. You can't make this stuff up. Very interesting. Very, very interesting information. Okay. Now, this is from, I'm going to go back to yesterday's information pertaining to the pastor who said he would not ever speak of the marriage to Robert and Aaliyah. And I think it's interesting that he held this information, never talked to anybody, never wrote a book, So what we have to ask ourselves, is it because he was embarrassed that people learned his name, and that he performed this ceremony with a young girl? And as I said in previous commentary, did he not notice that the young girl looked young? It is stating that he is stating she had hair over her eyes. So what are you saying? You didn't realize she was a young girl that appeared to be underage because her face was covered with hair. Okay. As they say, if you say so. And then I have to ask myself, was he remanded to testify in order to, what am I trying to say? Him not being brought up on charges for marrying a child and a man. Because as I said, this is a long, long time ago. A long time ago, 94. So why is this even coming up? What I'm trying to say is, why was this not prosecuted by her parents? This is baffling to me. Why was this issue not prosecuted by her parents? This is your child. You found out she's married to a man. Why didn't you go off on him? Why didn't you bring forth charges in Chicago pertaining to this man marrying your child? This is ridiculous. And then he's kept quiet all this time. So what I'm wondering is, did the state come to him and say, hey, we can bring you up on charges? Or did they just kindly not try to bring him up on charges and say, we just need your testimony, sir? Because, he could have declined and pled the fifth. So I'd like to know, was he remanded by the state to testify? I'm going to go back and bring you information pertaining to what about the pastor. It's very interesting information. Okay. This is by MSN.com. R. Kelly and Aaliyah were married in matching jogging suits. 10-minute. Excuse me. In a 10-minute ceremony, minister testifies. This is one day ago. For an illegal wedding that has haunted R&B superstar R. Kelly for 27 years, the actual ceremony wasn't much to write home about, lasting a mere 10 minutes. The minister who officiated testified Wednesday. Nathan Edmond, now 73, was summoned to a hotel in Rosemont, Illinois, to conduct a speedy ceremony between the 27-year-old Kelly and the 15-year-old Aaliyah. The wedding came after Kelly found out that Aaliyah was pregnant, his former manager testified. The door opened to the bedroom and out stepped, I guess, Aaliyah and Mr. Kelly wearing matching jogging suits, recalled Edmund. One leg of the jogging suit up to the knee, he added. Aaliyah's face was half shrouded by her hair. Edmund said the ceremony itself was 10 minutes or less, and that Kelly and Aaliyah kissed and exchanged vows. He gave his word to a member of Kelly's entourage that he would not speak publicly about the nuptials and declined various interview requests through the years, he testified. Aaliyah, born Aaliyah Houghton, and Kelly, whose full name is Robert Sylvester Kelly, were married August 31st, 1994. According to the marriage license, Kelly rushed back from a tour in Orlando, Florida, to wed the underage girl. His tour manager at the time, Demetrius Smith, paid a $500 bribe to a Chicago public assistance worker to make a fake ID for the 15-year-old so she could get married. 18 is the legal age to wed in Illinois without apparent consent. Aaliyah was a rising R&B star who worked closely with Kelly. She died in a plane crash in August 2001 at age 22. This is a short article. MSN.com is the source. All this is baffling information to me. So they came in jogging suits, lasted 10 minutes or less. One leg rolled up on each is what I heard. Very, very interesting information, I must say. And I'm going to piggyback off of this information I just brought you and bring you BuzzFeed pertaining to the minister marrying these two. Okay. It says Nathan Edmonds said he had agreed to never speak about the ceremony until he was subpoenaed to testify on Kelly's sex trafficking and racketeering trial. So I'm going to skim over this a little bit. So they got married August 31st, 1994. And this is the first time that Mr. Edmonds is speaking publicly pertaining to the marriage. He is 73 years of age. He says, I didn't think it was anybody special. I didn't understand it at all, Edmonds said in his testimony, which took place over a video conference call. Edmonds spoke after being subpoenaed, and he acknowledged that he did not especially want to be taking the stand. I want to show you a picture of Aaliyah at the time. This says, Aaliyah attends a press conference in Los Angeles, 1994. This is Getty Images. She looks like a mere child in this photograph. She looks younger than 15 in this photo. Here she looks like she's at least 12 or so. Very, very weird. According to the federal indictment against Kelly, and this may be possible because she didn't have much makeup on. She seems like she has on like lipstick. According to the federal indictment against Kelly, he met Houghton when she was 12 years old and began a sexual relationship with her when she was still a young teen. Prosecutors alleged that Kelly married her because he believed she was pregnant and that it could keep her from testifying against him. Kelly was previously charged with bribing an official in Illinois to get a fake ID for Houghton, and the marriage license falsely listed her age as 18. Edmund was then called in to handle the ceremony. A friend of Mr. Kelly's, who was also a friend and associate of mine, asked me to do him a favor, Edmund recalled. Kelly's friend, Keith Williams, and you've heard of Mr. Keith, he testified a week ago, knew Edmund because they both worked in real estate, Edmund said. It was a quick ceremony, about 10 minutes or less, in a hotel in the Chicago suburbs. Edmund said the only attendees were himself, Kelly, Houghton, Williams, and about 3 other gentlemen whom Edmund did not know. Interesting. Always an entourage around. Before conducting the ceremony, Edmund said he was asked to sign a confidentiality agreement, but he refused, saying it didn't look legally sound. I looked at it, I read it, then I kind of chuckled and said it wasn't worth the paper it was written on. Instead, he was asked to give his word that he would never speak about the ceremony, to which he agreed. He was offered somewhere between $25 and $50 to officiate, but he declined the money, he said. For the wedding ceremony, Edmund said Kelly and Houghton wore matching jogging suits, each one pants leg rolled up to the knee. You couldn't see her whole face because her hair was over her face, Edmund said of the teenage singer. Edmund has been contacted by the media over the years, he said, but until Wednesday, he had never spoken publicly about the wedding ceremony. Once again, a bunch of BS. This is BuzzFeed. I'm going to recap this information. So you go to a hotel, marry someone, you can't tell what the girl looks like. They offer you a sheet of paper to sign for confidentiality reasons. You rebuff it. At that point, sir, that's when you should have realized something was amiss with this marriage. Not just the document. The document is the icing on the cake. The fact that they want you to sign it, you should have said to yourself, okay, what's up with this situation? Why are they wanting me to sign a confidentiality confidentiality, document. There must be something going on. And the something going on is the fact that she was underage. You should have put two and two together. You're grown. You're a grown man. You should have known better. You should have said, nah, that's okay. I'm not signing this, and I'm not performing the ceremony. $25, $50, you can't even remember how much it was. Let's just be truthful. That's nothing considering he was a rising star in the business in 1994. That's all you were worth was $25. Or was that the going rate at that time in 1994 to perform a marriage in a hotel, house, steps outside of someone's front door? I'm just curious. Don't you all see what's going on? Everyone has enabled this man to do the things that he has done to people in general. We're not even going to say children or women, men, people. He's been afforded the luxury to mistreat people, dog people, be rude to people, disrespectful to people, sexually abuse them, mentally abuse them, verbally abuse them, with help of others who stood idly by, knowing that these things were going on. And they did nothing. All for wooden nickels. And you, sir, said you would never speak about it. So I guess once the you know what hit the fan and you realize, okay, this is a child I just married, you didn't want to have anything to do with the situation, talk about it or say anything. Very interesting. But now you had to attend court in New York to testify against the great Robert Sylvester Kelly. So how do you feel now knowing you married a child and a grown man? How do you feel about the allegations that have been brought forth against Robert Sylvester Kelly? Do you agree that he's a sadist? Or are you like many people? It doesn't bother you. You don't really care. Considering you're a pastor and all. And God forbid that you have girl children. Imagine that. Interesting. Very interesting. It was said while Faith was testifying, Mr. Robert was emotional. As I said, why Faith? Is there something there to that? It's very interesting. Patting her on the shoulder as if she was his coach, she said. Like, hey. And there was an eyewitness in the room when he did that. Better luck for the next guy, huh? Using derogatory terminology. I ain't like the other, dudes you F with, blah, blah, blah. Robert's a piece of work. And I believe these people have been a witness to a whole lot of everything. I think a lot of them knew about the tapes. And we know that somebody knew about the tapes because one of the tapes got leaked. So that means one of his entourage turned on him and leaked the tape of he and the 14-year-old girl. And of course, he was exonerated from that said charge, pornography charge in 2008. But that tape was around in the early 2000s. 2002 to my recollection. And he got away with that. So you see, somebody didn't like him then. But God favored him and let him go free. 12 members said, nah, we'll let him go. Now it's 2021. And he's up on racketeering charges and sex trafficking charges. And rightfully so, because it is wrong to bed a child, and it's wrong to take a child from place to place, state to state, for sexual purposes. And we already know that he's into sex highly. He's a deviant. He's a predator. So indeed, he has violated the Mann Act. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's a dirty bird. And he still has followers. Of course. That's to be expected. It's very sad and tragic. I want to see if I have one more piece of information to bring to you guys. Okay. They've got several articles here. Now, I'm getting conflict about the Aaliyah incident when he married her. And then it says here, a woman testified R. Kelly raped her, days after he married Aaliyah. She was 17. Because one article I think said 92, but then it's saying that he married Aaliyah in 94. It's very interesting information. very, very sickening, quite frankly. Very sickening. I want to see what this ABC has to say. Thank you all for joining me. If you want to donate to the channel, $Big Angie 129 Cash App. Okay. I'm just recapping everything. Okay. This is ABC News. As I stated, I brought you information pertaining to the pastor who married him and had never spoken before, and now finally giving his testimony pertaining to what happened in that hotel room in Rosemont, Illinois, outside of Chicago. And then we have the information coming forward from Miss Faith, who testified Tuesday, Wednesday, and continued testimony. And this is today's update. Uneasy witness testifies against R. Kelly federal trial. A woman reluctantly has taken the witness stand against R. Kelly to recount how he struck up a relationship with her in 2006 when she was 15. Okay. A woman reluctantly took the witness stand against R. Kelly on Thursday to recount how she struck up a relationship with her in 2006 when she was 15, but dodged the prosecutor's questions about when they first had sex. I don't recall how old I was, the woman, now 31, testified in the sex trafficking trial. When pressed further on the timing, she demurred, saying it's hard, it was 16 years ago. The witness stood apart from other women who have testified for the government against the R&B superstar in Brooklyn federal court by not accusing him of sexually abusing her when she was underage. And like I said, saying now, I do find it funny, interesting. Yes, she doesn't consider herself a victim, and she's using her name. The other women, when this trial first started, they went by Jane Doe 1, Jane Doe 5. Faith letting her name be known in the court. They asked her if she wanted to be here today. She said no. Despite her reluctance, the woman gave testimony mirroring that of Kelly's key accusers, how he groomed her by inviting her backstage at one of the shows, getting her to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and eventually paying for flights to join him at hotels and cities where he had concerts and for visits to his Chicago area mansion. Some of her early contact with him occurred around the time he was being prosecuted for a child pornography case that ended in his acquittal at a 2008 trial. She testified about agreeing to have threesomes with another woman, with Kelly. She described how the defendant put her on a lingerie and to interact with a girlfriend who was wearing a leash and collar. She was on her hands and knees and I was walking her, she said. Kelly's defense team declined to cross-examine the witness, a signal it believes she didn't do much damage. Okay. Kelly, 54, has repeatedly denied accusations that he led a criminal enterprise that sexually exploited women, girls, and even boys during a 30-year career highlighted by his anthem, I Believe I Can Fly. His lawyers have portrayed his accusers as groupies who are lying about the relationship with him. Kelly had been trailed for decades by complaints and allegations about his sexual behavior. The scrutiny intensified again in the hashtag #MeToo movement in recent years, with multiple women going public with accusations against the singer that have resulted in federal criminal charges in New York and Chicago, keeping him in jail since 2019. The said information is ABC News. This is deplorable. The fecal matter is one thing, the urine, women facing the wall in the elevator, not being able to come out of the rooms, using cups to urinate in, being locked in rooms for days. Allegations from a man who was once a child, boy child, who kept going back for whatever reasons, knowing that this man is bisexual. And now we have her having sex with another woman and walking her like a dog with a collar around her neck. You can't make this stuff up. Not now, not never. And some people could say, well, he just was into kinky sex, odd things, dress up, make-believe. What does fecal matter have to do with make-believe? What does urine have to do with make-believe? What does choking someone or hitting someone, pulling a gun out as a form of intimidation have to do with make-believe? Seeking out children for sex, that make-believe to you? Will 12 members find Robert Sylvester Kelly guilty? That's what I want to know. We're in the week 3, and we're ending it as of tomorrow. And I'm curious now to what the jury panel, what are they thinking? Have some already made up their mind about this man? or some on the fence. A few weeks ago when this episode, the saga of atrociousness started, they were fighting, arguing in the overflow room, fans. Sick people fighting over a man who has done atrocious acts with children, men and women, and you're fighting and arguing with other spectators in the overflow room. You must be out of your damn mind. You really are crazy. A lot of you are damn crazy. This is no different than any of the other true crime stories I talk about on my channel, where people have become enamored with these famous people, random people. They have no idea who they are and want to fight and argue strangers. And yet, you act like we're crazy for watching you act a damn fool and following in behind a sadist and or murderer. It's all the same. You people are really sick out here. And I just can't even imagine sitting in a room that's designed to watch a person in court, and if someone gets upset, starts talking crazy, cussing and fussing about who's testifying, then somebody else speaks up and says something. Next thing you know, you got an all-out brawl over a man who prefers to sleep with kids and pee on women and men, have sex with men and women and boys, girls, berate them. And the thing that's really baffling is when the women realized Robert wanted them to have sex with another woman. That's one thing I want to top on before I check out. Why? When you knew you were not number one. Did Faith mention that? She saw, I guess, the phone ringing, text from another woman, calling herself Mama Bear or something to that effect. You knew you were not number one. You knew there were other women. Most of you saw other women in the house, saw other women going on the trips, the flights, the this, the that, the hotel rooms. Why would you stay? It's one thing with the deviant behavior, disrespectful, talking down to you, telling you how to look, how to dress, posing, all that foolishness, fecal matter, urine. But the other women, why would you stay knowing there were other women alongside you? I don't get it. Because the other blatant disrespect is what it is, blatantly disrespectful. If there were no other women, if it was just you, people question, why stay? Of course. But like I always say, he's no different than any other man that's abused a woman, and the woman stayed with him. But you're being abused, and you're alongside she, her. And spreading more diseases and bodily fluids. Do you see where I'm going? So you've been mistreated. He's giving you a disease. You're still going back and forth, laying with him, laying with other women, boys, men. That's the most baffling part. It's the introduction to other sexes, same sex and or opposite sex. You were there for R. Kelly, but he introduced other women, girls, and boys and men. And yet you still stayed. That says a lot. Because as I stated, it's one thing to just be with one man and be abused by him, clinging to him, wanting him to be better, to change. But to go alongside and be abused by him and then jumping in the pot with other sexes, it's too much to fathom. It's too much to fathom. As I stated, I don't even know how these women can have wholesome relationships with men after being treated so poorly, demeaning to the spirit and soul by Robert Kelly. But we know that people can go on to have productive relationships, productive friendships with men. And I don't know how long it'll take these women to ever trust a man again, be it, just a friend or a lover. But I'm sure going through this, there's no way you could ever trust a man. You'll think that all men are the same. That they're sadists, they're nasty, they're rude, they're disrespectful. And we know that all men are not like that. But you do have some that are like this. And there's a lot of Robert Kellys out there. And they may not choose to sleep with little girls, but their tongue is nasty. Their attitude is nasty. Sexually talk nasty. Call you nasty names thinking it's cute. And it's not. You have a name and you tell them to call you by your damn name. If you want to donate to the channel, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App for any donation to the channel. Thank you all so much, new subscribers, people following the content, like, share, subscribe. This is sickening to me. And I can see how a lot of women would be turned off by being in the company of a man. If they went through this and hearing this, it would bring flashbacks to any woman that's ever been physically, mentally, sexually abused by a man. But I say if you still want to date, you have to pray about it. That God will send you a decent man, or you will cross paths with a decent man. There are some decent men out there. It doesn't seem like it. And I can speak personally. Sometimes it does not. And especially listening to this, it makes your stomach turn. It makes you lose hope. It makes you lose hope. And there are some women who've decided to not ever date again. And they're not old women. They're not even in their 50s. They're in their 40s. And they don't want to date. Because it's a lot in dealing with another person and putting your trust in them to only be disappointed. I thank you all for joining me. God bless all of you. I will bring you more commentary pertaining to Robert Kelly, the trial that is taking place in Brooklyn, New York. This is the U.S. versus Robert Kelly. We will see how this unfolds. Let me know what you think. Go to my community post and put your commentary on the said videos. I have a lot of commentary that I've uploaded pertaining to the BNC network, a very good network. So if you have anything you would like to say pertaining to this trial, what you think is going on with Robert Kelly, why did he all of a sudden show emotion when Faith testified about their sexual encounter in the hotel room where he could not penetrate her? I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Love to hear your thoughts. I thank you all for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Good night.